Well, hello, beloveds, and welcome. My name is Dr. David Goldberg, and welcome to Unity on the Avenue. We're right here on the corner of 17th and Dahlia, just off of Colfax in Colorado in Denver's Park Hill neighborhood. It is a beautiful space. It is a wonderful sanctuary, our wonderful Unity House right next door, and our beautiful 7-circuit labyrinth in between our two spaces. You are welcome to join us anytime. And in these interesting times, until we can come back together in full spiritual community, we love you, we bless you, we continue to honor you, and we love connecting with you in this way through our online services. So please know that we are always here, we are always available, unityontheavenue.org. If you have general questions, if you have specific questions, if you have a prayer request, I would be honored to be with you in that space, as are our amazing and talented and highly conscious chaplain prayer partners. So on this day, we are overjoyed and honored to have a guest speaker. So please sit back, relax, connect with this beautiful beloved being, and know that all is well.
Welcome to Unity on the Avenue Spiritual Center. I'm Alice Jordan, one of the prayer chaplains here, and I would like to begin first with the statement of faith, and then I'll read a prayer. So please relax and receive our statement. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Today, I give thanks for all the peacemakers in the world, past and present. I reflect on the examples of Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and today, Reverend William Barber II. I align myself with all who stand for world peace and those who right now are working for nonviolence in my own community. I am grateful for all efforts to provide peace and safety for myself, for my loved ones, for my community, and for my country. I practice listening with an open heart, remembering that the voice of God lives in the heart of every person. I am becoming a better peacemaker, and for this, I am grateful. Well, I'm very, very excited to again welcome Dr. Cynthia, an ordained religious science minister who for many years was at Mile High Church. If you were fortunate enough to listen to last week's presentation, you are again in for such a treat. Reverend Cynthia's work is currently empowering women. She speaks at conferences around the world and is about to embark on voicing a TED Talk next week. I personally follow her communications and have been very inspired by what she has to say and how she presents it. On a personal note, she is an acclaimed actress, singer. She was Days of Our Lives. She was with her partner at one time, Lou Gossett Jr., the actor, and they share 2 children. She is a loving and doting grandmother. So once again, we are very honored to have such a powerful presence with us at Unity on the Avenue and in our world today. She will be our guest speaker and our guest minister. We offer our warmest greetings, Reverend Cynthia, and thank you.
Check your intention. What seeds did you sow? Manifestation is birth within. So check your intention. The woman you work for can't seem to see your light. Nothing is flowing, and you can't sleep at night. Come on and check your intention. What seed did you sow? Manifestation is birth within. So check your intention. The lover you've chosen won't seem to let you in. The heart is not open, and they won't say where they've been. Check your intention. What seed did you sow? Manifestation is birth within. So check your intention. what seeds did you sow? Manifestation is birth within. So check your intention. Check your bill so high. Check your bill so high. Check your finances. Check the world around you. Check the ones you frequent. Check. Check. Check your intention. Check. Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to be with you. I sang that song because isn't it a good thing to check your intention? Because what's happening in your life is a result of your intentionality. So I'm grateful to be back here this week. You know, the series is Gratitude and Grace. You know, thank you, Reverend Dr. David, for inviting me. I'm so grateful to be here, and what an amazing team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can't see all of them, but they're doing a great job. You know, and last week I talked about gratitude. Today I'm focusing on grace. You know, I started last week with a fairy tale, and for those of you who weren't here, you know, the fairy tale was about Little Soul, and Little Soul was given a body and came to earth and was here to remember the light, the love, the grace, the harmony, and the peace. Well, now I want to tell you the second part of Little Soul's story. So Little Soul is now grown up, and she's not having a great time. She's financially challenged, her relationships are up and down, her career is not on target, she's got the blues, and you know, in fact, she's depressed. So she decides that she's gonna take a nap. And she falls asleep, and all of a sudden, she's in front of these big doors. This is the chamber of the wise elders, the council. And she says, "Where am I?" And they say, "At the beginning." "Well, why am I here?" "Because you called for us." "I did?" "Yes. You screamed, 'Someone, anyone, help me,' and we came to talk to you. But you couldn't hear us because you were in the sleep of forgetting." "Well, what is the sleep of forgetting?" "Oh, that's where you forget that you are a being of light. That's where you forget that you are part of an infinite possibility field. That's where you forget that you are powerful and that you are connected and that you are a co-creator with the divine. And that is where you forget that you live in a field of grace." "Oh," she says, "well, how do I remember?" And they say, "You wake up. You remember to ask. You remember to awaken and become present, and you begin to understand that you can be available." "Well, I don't know how to do that. Can you tell me how to do that?" And they said, "Yes, ask, awaken, and become available." And they start to disappear. She's like, "Wait, no, don't leave yet. I'm not ready." And they're gone. She panics, and then she wakes up and her eyes pop open. Well, isn't that how we are, right? You know, we're distracted. We're going through stuff. We forget that we're divine. We know it intellectually, but we forget. We stop practicing. We stop doing our spiritual practice. We stop meditating. We stop doing all the things that we love that have brought us to this moment. We forget. it's very interesting because a lot of people are having pandemic fatigue. They are in places where, they feel isolated, they're missing being with people, they're missing being in community. And because of that, I had a client tell me that she had pandemic weight gain because she's been eating her challenges, right? She's been struggling with it. But here's the thing. It is also during these times that we call out to the universe for help. Save me, support me, awaken me, guide me. And we forget that we are part of this experience. We forget that we are part of the place that creates the life, the reality we desire, the life of our dreams. So I wanted to talk to you today about the fact that this story of Little Soul is actually the story of us all. That we all get to understand that in any given moment, we can go back to the beginning, go back to the place where the energy and the infinite loved us so much, it breathed its life into us. That we came to this planet with all the gifts of the universe, no matter what the circumstances or situations. I came in from a family that was that had a really disconnected lineage and struggled. I just want you to know that right here and right now that the past does not define you. You get to create the life you want. So I wanted to break down the three things that the wise elders told Little Soul. And the first one was ask. There's a thing in the Bible, ask and it is given, seek and ye shall find, knock and the door will be opened. Ask. When I was around 30 years old, I wanted to be a mother. And it felt like this deep calling. But I was not in a great relationship. I wasn't married. And so it seemed kind of crazy to be thinking about having a child. But this longing went on for a long time. And then in my late 30s, I met my ex-husband. And he already had a biological child, and he had a foster child at the time. And as our relationship got more serious and we decided to get married, we decided to adopt the foster child. And it was so great being a mother. It was so wonderful to have that experience and to be a part of this child's awakening. And we had wanted to have another biological child, but my body was not cooperating. So a few years passed, and then, as I shared in the last story, we went through a very painful divorce. So I thought, well, I'm a mom, right? And the interesting thing about it, though, is that, when you have divorce, you have split custody. So the kid, he'd be with me, then he'd be with his father. And then ultimately, though, he came to live with me. Now, his biological mother had 10 children, and she could not take care of them. And so my son had an older biological brother who was living with his grandfather, and the grandfather died. And my son said, oh, Lee needs to come live with us. I'm like, no, I can't take another child. This is too much right now. And he said, Mom, I know you're supposed to do this. And they say out of the mouth of babes. Well, my son was so wise and so clear about why his brother should come and live with us. His brother came to live with us. He was 17 at the time, and he had been struggling. And so I supported him to go to school. I supported him, and he finally got a job, and he was doing really well. At age 21, he walked into my bedroom and he said, Mom, I think you need to adopt me. And I said, you're a grown man. He said, yes, but you're my mother and it needs to be on my birth certificate, and I've done the research. And I'm like, okay. He says, yeah, there's a paralegal and you fill out these forms and then you go before the judge. And so I'm gonna do the paperwork if you say yes. So I said, of course, you're my son. He said, okay. So he fills out all the paperwork, but I don't see any of it, you know. At one point on the day of seeing the judge, I had to sign these papers. And so I'm looking up at the judge, and the judge is reading something. And I don't know what the judge is reading. And the judge looks at my son and he said, did you write this? And my son said, yes. And the judge said, adoption granted. So I look at my son and I said, what was he reading? He said, the letter about why you should be my mother. And I said, why didn't you tell me? And he said, oh, because I didn't want you getting mushy. So I read the letter. And even as I stand here and speak this to you, I feel emotional because he said all the things about why I was his mother, the way I treated him, the way I saw him, the way I guided him, the way I supported him. And it reminded me of when I was 30 years old, what I thought about being a mother. What I want you to know is that when you ask, the universe may not give it to you in the form you think. When you ask, the universe will give exactly what you need, the way that you need it. Those two boys, life changers for me. Those two boys have been one of the greatest gifts of my life, and they did not come through my body temple, but they were given to me from grace. And grace for me is the flow. Grace is the energy and the divine flow of all that is. And it works with synchronicity, because when you're in the flow of grace, synchronicity shows up and it's supportive and it manifests in extraordinary ways. Both my sons have children now. I love being a grandmother, and we have Zoom calls once a month because of pandemic. I can't just hop on a plane and go. But every time I see them, and my grandchildren are on the calls, I give thanks for the grace of God that brought us together as family. So the second thing is that, you know, you want to awaken. Ernest Holmes said, we are saved by grace to the extent that we believe in, accept, and seek to embody the law of good. For the law of good is ever a law of liberty and never one of limitation. Limitation is not a thing, but it is a belief. Freedom is a divine reality, while limitation is an illusion of false belief. And then Emmett Fox said, how do you move from intellectual understanding to the infinite, to living in the flow of life and harmony? Practical mysticism is key. So I want to talk to you because I think this is how you awaken. Practical mysticism, mystics are like, in the absolute, and they have this deep and powerful knowing. But I think we all have the capacity to be practical mystics. We all have the capacity to practice what we know and what we learn. We're not just called to, go to a church or go to a spiritual center on Sunday. We're not just called to read a book here and there or to have a workshop here and there. We're called to practice the presence. And when you do that, that practical mysticism begins to make an energetic magnet that goes out and attracts itself and creates extraordinary things for you. Every morning in my spiritual practice, I have these questions that I ask, and it's a long list, so I won't go into all that. But it's like, how can I be more of the divine made manifest? How can I show up in ways that are powerful and dynamic? Who are my strategic alliances that support my way of being in the world? You know, what is health and well-being showing up as me? So what I want you to know is that you can ask questions and the universe answers questions. So if you're asking, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why is it so hard? Why are people divided? The universe will show you. But if you ask, how can I be more love? How can I be more light? How can I be more present? How can I be more powerful? The universe will show you. So practicing what you know is how you awaken. I consider myself to be a miraculous unfolding. Considering where I came from, there is no reason I should be up here speaking to you in this moment or doing what I'm doing in the world, except that I was always a seeker. I always wanted to know more. I always wanted to learn more. I always wanted to experience more. And I believe if you're seeing this video today, you are a person who's a seeker. And so why not take that seeking to a deeper level to awaken, to find out why are you here on this planet? You are a unique imprint. There's nobody that can do what you do the way you do it. So why not be fully orbed and bring your gifts to the planet in an extraordinary way by being awakened, which means you are not in the past and you are not in the future. You are present right here, right now. The third thing is that you become available. About 5 years ago, a woman came to me for coaching. And she was really challenged. She was overweight. She had had a very abusive childhood. She was lesbian and her family wasn't accepting her. She was having financial challenges, and she said, I don't know who you are, but my friend said I need to come to you. And so we just started working together, and I started explaining to her about how the universal laws work, that what she thinks she creates, that what she puts out comes back. And so we really started simple things of like understanding that when she's upset and negative, that there are negative chemicals that get dropped into her being. And when she's positive, there are positive chemicals that are doing. So we started creating what I call antidote affirmations, where the antidote to what she was experiencing or seeing to positive statements. You know, I'm healthy, I'm vibrant, I'm loved, I'm powerful. And at first she didn't believe it, and I get it, and I was like, you know, we're just practicing here. But this is really wonderful to see, because so now 5 years later, you know, she got laid off from her job, which she didn't like, by the way. And we had been working on creating the field where she could do the work she loved. And she wanted to go back to an area that she had been before, but it hadn't worked out, and so she had taken a job for the money, and it was draining her soul. So we set an intention for her to create this job that she wanted, this life that she wanted. And then miraculous things started unfolding. She gets a job offer in another part of the country. They pay her more than she was being paid before. And it's in the arena that she wanted to be in before, and they will train her to go to the next level. So we're celebrating how wonderful this is and how exciting this is for her. And this is what she says. She said, I think this intention stuff works. I said, do you? She said, yeah, because remember we wrote down that intention a year ago? And look it's check, 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 right? And I was like, right. She goes, now this is what I think I've been learning though. I think I need to keep practicing. Good answer. Yes. When you manifest something, you haven't arrived. There is no arrival. When you achieve something, when you manifest something, that is just the universe showing you that you are on the right track and that you are an expression of divinity. And by the way, there is no end. There's no end to love. There's no end to abundance. There's no end to creativity. There's no end to extraordinary relationships. You are the conduit through which spirit moves and has its way. Grace. I want you to know that when I think about my own life, I'm so clear about being a seeker and how it opened portals for me to be able to travel, to speak, to write, to teach. But this is what's interesting. When I was a child, I had those dreams. My family thought I was crazy. My family thought that I was out of sync. But something in me, something that came with me on this planet, was reminding me through my dreams that I was supported, that I was loved, and that I was guided. I think the same is true for you. The dreams, the visions, the desires that live within you came with you. And so you get to be available for the universe to support you. What I want to do is I want to invite you into a meditation with me. And before I do that, I want to tell you about a thing I call grace-tude. It's attitude with grace. And I want to share with you some things that can help you be in the flow of grace. So here they are. That you notice every day how many synchronistic and grace-filled things have occurred for you. You use the breath. You know, breath is healing and it moves energy. You use the breath to remind you to stay centered and to stay in your body. You up-level your frequency. You know, we are all beings of energy, and thoughts are nothing but energy and information. And so we get to up-level our frequency by being positive and excited and enthusiastic and witnesses of the divine. And the more that you do that, the harder it will be to be distracted by being bombarded with all kinds of other things. You bring forward your eternal optimist, and you remember that fun and play is a part of your reality. You're not here just to be serious. When I told the first fairy tale, the thing is that little soul was playing with other light beings and having joy. This is our divine nature. The next thing is to expect goodness. If you expect it, it will show up. You want to connect to your passion points, the things that ignite you, the things that excite you. And then you want to practice what you preach. My girlfriend was telling me that she was driving in her car and she was on the phone and she was complaining to her friend about something. And she said her little daughter, I think she was like 4 at the time, and her little daughter said, "Mommy, that's negative talk." And she said she looked around and she thought, okay, they're paying attention. So practice what you preach. Now, I want to invite you to just sit in your chair. I want to invite you to imagine that you are sitting in a pool of light. I want you to imagine that that pool of light is warm and comforting. And you are remembering in this moment that the chair in which you sit is supporting you without effort. And so you breathe in this warm light, and you breathe it up your spine. And it begins to fill your body. And you take this moment to become aware that this is an opportunity for you to surrender, to let go of any old beliefs, old patterns, old ways of being that no longer serve you. You don't judge yourself. You just give thanks that there's an opportunity here to remember that you absolutely do live in a field of grace. That the universe is conspiring for your happiness and your peace and your abundance. And so you can just take this moment to set an intention to let go of the old. To let go of the fears and the doubts. To let go of anything that doesn't support your health and well-being. And you don't have to know how. You just simply trust that the divine is supporting you. You trust that right here and right now, that because we're together, where two of them are gathered, there's great power. But because we're together, something beautiful is occurring, a synergy, where we get to let go and open to the remembrance of who we are. We can move out of the sleep of forgetting and move into a space of soul remembrance. That everything in the universe is for us. That there is no circumstance or situation that defines us. That we get to embrace who we are and who we have come here to be. So breathe that in. Breathe that in. And call forth your angels, healers, teachers, guides, avatars, star masters, light beings assigned to you. Call them in to remind you of who you have come here to be. To remind you that in any given moment you can ask. In any given moment you can awaken. And in any given moment you can become available. And so we just give thanks that there is nothing in the way, because nothing opposes God, therefore nothing opposes us. So we can activate our optimist. We can raise our frequency. We can trust the divine. We can place onto the altar of light anything that no longer serves us and call forth goodness. Call forth grace. Call forth light and love. And breathe that in. Breathe that in. We simply let go. Surrender, let it go. Surrender, let it all go. All the fears and the doubts, all the pain, all the wounds surrender, let it all go. All the thoughts of disease, all the lies, all the judgments, feelings that you are alone. Ooh, surrender, let it go. 'Cause you know God is here. Yes, you know God is here. Don't you know God is here? Yes, you know God is here. Let it go. Open your heart, invite in the light. Open your mind, surrender. Open your heart, invite in the light. Open your mind, surrender. Surrender, 'cause you know God is here. Yes, you know God is here. Yes, you know God is here. Yes, you know God is here. Let it go. Surrender the doubts and the fears. Surrender. Surrender. And so from this place of surrender, we open to the infinite possibilities of the divine. We open to knowing that right here where we are, grace flows. And so we take this moment to bless our individual lives, the lives of us as a collective. We lift up humanity. We lift up this planet. We lift up this spiritual community. We lift up all of the people on this planet who may be in a sleep of forgetting. And we speak to their souls to remind them that they are loved, they are held, they are seen, they are important. I give thanks for the prosperity of this community. I give thanks for the prosperity and the joy and the lightness of being of every person on this planet, every man, every woman, every child. I'm grateful. And so we just simply trust that we are held and that we are living in the field of grace, and we give great thanks as I release this word, and I trust it, and I allow it to be, and say, and so it is. Thank you so much. I am so grateful to be here with you, and I just want to remind you of the importance of this community, that what you are being given every week, even through a pandemic, is so much love and so much light through the speakers and the music and the teams that come together to create this. And so I want to remind you that your giving matters, that your tithes matter. And so I would like to invite you to give. You can mail a check. You can give online, www.unityontheavenue.org. Mobile app, Give Plus, or text to give, 833-755-5507. It doesn't matter how much. When you activate the law of circulation, it comes back to you 100-fold. Many blessings and thank you. So please repeat with me the offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So please join me in the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God washes over us. Wherever we are, God is. Go in power, go in peace.
Where God shows up. I'm the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I'm the place where God shows up. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. We are the place where God shows up. We are the place where God shows up.